Welcome to the island where dreams became nightmares. Decades after Mr. Roarke's last guest departed, the stars of Fantasy Island are living a reality no one could have predicted. From tragic health battles to shocking career shifts, wait until you see what happened to the legends who greeted the plane. Prepare yourself for a journey through time that will leave you breathless and heartbroken. Ricardo Montalban as Mr. Roarke. Born on November 25, 1920 in Mexico City, Mexico, the distinguished actor stepped into his most recognizable television role in the initial 1977 pilot films for Fantasy Island. At the age of 56, Montalban's portrayal of Mr. Roarke, the mysterious and omnipotent overseer clad in a pristine white suit, became a symbol of elegance and enigmatic authority. For 7 seasons, his commanding presence and velvety voice anchored the show, turning him into a global pop culture icon whose welcoming demeanor often masked the moralistic and sometimes dark lessons delivered to his guests. While Mr. Roarke was often stoic, seemingly supernatural and detached, Ricardo Montalban was known for his immense warmth, deep religious faith, and unwavering devotion to his family, remaining married to his wife Georgiana for 63 years. His professional journey was a constant battle against the industry's tendency to stereotype him as the Latin lover, a mold he worked tirelessly to break to pave the way for future Hispanic actors. Behind the scenes of his smooth performance, he endured excruciating physical pain. A spinal injury sustained during the filming of 1951's Across the Wide Missouri left him in constant agony, a struggle he concealed with immense dignity while filming Fantasy Island, even as walking became increasingly difficult. Montalban continued to captivate audiences well after leaving the island, delivering a legendary performance as the villain Khan Noonien Singh in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and charming a new generation as Grandfather Valentin in the Spy Kids franchise. He remained a fierce advocate for Latinos in entertainment through the Nosotros Foundation, which he helped establish to improve the image of Hispanics in Hollywood. His health eventually declined following the death of his beloved wife in 2007. Ricardo Montalban passed away at his home in Los Angeles on January 14, 2009, at the age of 88 from congestive heart failure. He left behind a legacy of breaking barriers and maintaining an aristocratic grace that defined his career until the very end. Herve Villechaize as Tattoo. Born on April 23, 1943 in Paris, France, the actor overcame physical adversity to become an unlikely global superstar. At the age of 33, Villechaize originated the role of Tattoo, the energetic and observant assistant to Mr. Roarke in Fantasy Island. His enthusiastic shout of de plan during the opening sequence became one of the most recognizable catchphrases in television history, instantly embedding him in pop culture. For the first 6 seasons, his unique screen presence and chemistry with Ricardo Montalban were pivotal to the show's massive success, earning him a Golden Globe nomination and status as a household name. In stark contrast to the helpful and subservient character of Tattoo, Villechaize's real life was turbulent, marked by a volatile temperament and intense professional dissatisfaction. He reportedly struggled with the show's producers over salary disputes and billing, demanding to be paid the same as his co-star, which eventually led to his firing in 1983. Additionally, he suffered from chronic physical pain due to his proportionate dwarfism, as his internal organs were too large for his small frame, a condition that exacerbated his erratic behavior and depression. Following his departure from the series, he faced the harsh reality of typecasting and a reputation for being difficult on set, which made finding subsequent acting work nearly impossible. Herve Villechaize spent his final years in relative obscurity, taking on occasional small roles in films like Two Moon Junction and appearing in commercials, but he never recaptured his television stardom. Tragically, he passed away at his home in North Hollywood, California on September 4, 1993, at the age of 50. The cause of death was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He left a recording explaining that the physical agony resulting from his medical condition had become too much to bear. His complex legacy and final days were later explored in the 2018 HBO film My Dinner with Herve, which offered a sympathetic look at the man behind the iconic white suit, Michelle Pfeiffer as Deborah Dare. Born on April 29, 1958 in Santa Ana, California, the future screen legend began her career with small television roles before becoming a global superstar. At the age of 22, Pfeiffer landed the role of Deborah Dare in the Fantasy Island episode titled The Artist and the Lady. Portraying the breathtaking muse to an aging artist seeking his masterpiece, her performance capitalized on her luminous beauty and ethereal presence. While the role was brief, it was pivotal, earning her a Screen Actors Guild card and introducing audiences to a face that would soon define a decade of Hollywood glamour. Despite her character's poise and the industry's immediate fixation on her appearance, Michelle Pfeiffer was famously insecure and introverted, a sharp contrast to the confident beauties she often played. She suffered from severe imposter syndrome early in her career, constantly fearing she would be fired or exposed as untalented. This internal struggle was compounded by professional hurdles. Shortly after her television stint, she starred in Grease 2, a critical and commercial failure that nearly ended her film career before it began. She faced significant difficulty breaking out of the pretty face typecasting, having to fight aggressively for the gritty role of Elvira Hancock in Scarface to prove her dramatic range. Michelle Pfeiffer eventually overcame these early obstacles to become one of the most acclaimed actresses of her generation, earning 3 Academy Award nominations and balancing a high-profile career with a private family life alongside her husband, producer David E. Kelley. She successfully transitioned into prestige television and blockbuster franchises later in her career, including roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the series The First Lady. At the age of 67, she is an enduring icon in Hollywood, continuing to take on complex roles that challenge the industry's perceptions of aging and beauty, solidifying a legacy that far transcends her early days as a television guest star. Tori Spelling as Christy. Born on May 16, 1973 in Los Angeles, California, the daughter of legendary producer Aaron Spelling, made one of her very first screen appearances in this role. At the age of 4, Spelling's portrayal of Christy, a precocious and scheming child who tricks a movie star out of an autograph, marked the official beginning of a lifelong career intertwined with her father's television empire. While the role was a small guest spot in the Fantasy Island pilot era, it served as the prologue to her massive cultural impact in the 1990s, foreshadowing a life spent almost entirely in the public eye. In stark contrast to the confident autograph-hunting schemer she played, the real Tori Spelling was a painfully shy and sheltered child, often described as living in a bubble of immense privilege that isolated her from the real world. This contrast defined her professional trajectory. She spent decades fighting the stigma of nepotism, with critics often dismissing her success as solely the result of her father's influence. Despite becoming a teen icon as Donna Martin on Beverly Hills 90210, she faced brutal scrutiny regarding her appearance and acting ability, followed by significant financial struggles in adulthood after inheriting a surprisingly modest portion of her father's vast estate. Tori Spelling has remained a fixture in reality television and pop culture, reinventing herself as a resilient public figure and podcaster. At the age of 52, she is navigating a new chapter of life as a single mother of 5 following her high-profile divorce from Dean McDermott. No longer living in the sprawling manners of her youth, she has embraced a more chaotic and relatable public image, documenting her family's ups and downs, from living in mobile homes to hosting the 90210MG podcast, proving her ability to stay relevant in an industry she was born into. Don Knotts as Felix Birdsong. Born on July 21, 1924 in Morgantown, West Virginia, the comedic legend had already cemented his legacy before visiting the mysterious island. At the age of 53, Knotts took on the role of Felix Birdsong in the television movie Return to Fantasy Island, a 1977 production that served as the pivotal launchpad for the iconic series. In this role, he portrayed a timid, henpecked husband seeking an escape, delivering his trademark nervous energy, widening eyes, and physical comedy that audiences adored. His performance provided a crucial anchor of familiarity and humor for the pilot, helping to sell the high-concept premise to a mainstream audience and bridging the gap between his sitcom fame and his film career. While the world knew him as the bug-eyed, trembling embodiment of anxiety, the real Don Knotts was a stark contrast to his frantic on-screen personas. He was known off-camera as a quiet, suave, and well-composed man, often described by friends as a ladies' man, rather than the socially awkward characters he perfected. However, his life was not without deep struggles. He overcame a traumatic childhood involving an abusive, mentally ill father and extreme poverty. Professionally, he battled the immense weight of typecasting throughout his career, finding it nearly impossible to be cast in serious roles because the industry could only see him as the jittery deputy or the eccentric landlord, a limitation that often frustrated him despite his steady success. Don Knotts remained active in the entertainment industry well into his later years, experiencing a career renaissance shortly after his island visit with his role as Ralph Furley on Three's Company. He maintained a close lifelong friendship with Andy Griffith, eventually reuniting with him for a recurring role on Matlock in the late 1980s and 90s. He continued to do voice work and make guest appearances until the end of his life. Knotts passed away at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on February 24, 2006, at the age of 81, due to pulmonary and respiratory complications resulting from lung cancer. He was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery, and his legacy is immortalized with a statue in his hometown of Morgantown, standing as a permanent tribute to the man who spent a lifetime making the world laugh. Sonny Bono as Ted Teagarden? Born on February 16, 1935 in Detroit, Michigan, the singer and songwriter stepped into the role of Ted Teagarden for the original Fantasy Island television movie pilot, which aired in January 1977. At the age of 41, Bono portrayed a guest seeking to live out a Butch and Sundance outlaw fantasy alongside comedian Tom Smothers. This appearance was crucial for Bono, marking an attempt to establish his independent acting credentials during the tumultuous final days of the Sonny and Cher era. His performance tapped into his well-honed comedic timing, helping the pilot achieve high ratings and securing the concept a place as a forthcoming weekly series that would dominate late 70s television. Despite the character's lighthearted and bumbling demeanor, which mirrored his famous stage persona, the real Sonny Bono was a shrewd, ambitious, and serious businessman who had masterminded one of the most successful musical acts in history. This contrast became a source of professional frustration. The public and the industry struggled to separate the intelligent producer from the good-natured fool he played on TV. Following the final breakup of his variety show partnership, Bono faced severe professional headwinds. He endured the rapid cancellation of his solo effort, The Sonny Comedy Review, and found himself largely typecast or dismissed by casting directors who viewed him merely as Cher's former straight man rather than a serious actor. Sonny Bono eventually pivoted away from the entertainment industry to forge a highly successful second career in politics, serving first as the mayor of Palm Springs and later winning a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. However, his tenure was cut tragically short. Bono passed away on January 5, 1998, at the age of 62 after suffering blunt force trauma from hitting a tree while skiing at the Heavenly Mountain Resort near South Lake Tahoe, California. His death garnered massive national attention, and in the aftermath, his widow, Mary Bono, was elected to finish his congressional term. His legislative legacy lives on significantly through the Sonny Bono Copyright Term Extension Act, which was passed by Congress shortly after his death. Wendy Schaal as Julie. Born on July 2, 1954 in Chicago, Illinois, the daughter of actor Richard Schaal joined the iconic series Fantasy Island during its fourth season to revitalize the cast dynamic. At the age of 26, Schaal took on the role of Julie, the beautiful and spirited goddaughter of the enigmatic Mr. Roarke. Her character was introduced to provide a youthful, compassionate counterpoint to Ricardo Montalban's stoic authority, assisting in the complex coordination of guests' fantasies. Her presence became a recognized part of the show's later legacy, offering a fresh face that helped sustain the series' popularity as it moved into the 1980s. Despite the glamorous and composed nature of her character on the island, Wendy Schaal possesses a sharp, quirky comedic sensibility that the role of Julie rarely allowed her to display. Her time on the show was marked by the professional insecurity characteristic of late-run series editions. She was eventually let go when the producers decided to retool the cast yet again in an attempt to boost ratings, a harsh reality of the television business. Following her departure, she faced the struggle of being typecast in pretty wife or girlfriend roles in films like Inner Space and The Burbs, fighting to prove she was a capable comedic actress rather than just a visual prop for male leads. Wendy Schaal eventually transcended the limitations of her early live-action typecasting to find massive, sustained success in the world of voice acting. She is now most famous for her long-running portrayal of Francine Smith in the animated hit American Dad, a role that allowed her to fully unleash her comedic timing. At the age of 71, she remains an active and respected figure in the industry, continuing to voice the beloved matriarch. Her career evolution stands as a testament to longevity, having successfully pivoted from the physical scrutiny of 1980s television to the creative freedom of animation. Carol Lynley as Dorothy Weller. Born on February 13, 1942, in New York City, the Manhattan native was already a seasoned model and film star when she joined the cast of the original Fantasy Island television movie pilot. At the age of 34, Lynley's portrayal of Dorothy Weller helped launch the cultural phenomenon that would dominate late 70s and 80s television. As one of the marquee guest stars in the pilot that aired in January 1977, her performance as a woman seeking a difficult emotional resolution contributed to the show's immediate success. Her presence lent credibility and glamour to the nascent franchise, establishing the template for the special guest star format that became the series' trademark. While often cast as the quintessential golden-haired ingenue or the damsel in distress, Carol Lynley possessed a sharp wit and an intellectual depth that contrasted with the Ice Maiden roles she was frequently assigned. This disparity fueled a lifelong professional struggle. After achieving massive fame as a teen in Blue Denim and later as the singer Nani in The Poseidon Adventure, she fought hard to shed her wholesome image, famously posing for Playboy in 1965 at the height of her movie career. Despite her efforts to showcase her range, she found herself increasingly typecast in the 1970s as a scream queen or victim in disaster films and thrillers. As the studio system era faded, she faced the difficulty of transitioning into mature roles, leading to a period where high-profile work became scarce, and she was relegated to B-movies and sporadic television guest spots. Carol Lynley continued to work intermittently in independent films and appeared in pop culture conventions where she embraced her legacy as a 60s and 70s icon. She remained active in the industry well into the early 2000s, appearing in short films and retrospectives, though she largely withdrew from the public eye in her final years. Lynley passed away at her home in Pacific Palisades, California on September 3, 2019, at the age of 77 after suffering a heart attack. Her death marked the loss of one of the era's most recognizable faces, and she was remembered by fans and critics alike for her defining roles in cult classics and her contribution to the golden age of disaster cinema. David Cassidy as Danny Collier. Born on April 12, 1950 in New York City, the son of actors Jack Cassidy and Evelyn Ward, was already a global phenomenon before joining the cast of the Fantasy Island pilot movie. At the age of 26, Cassidy's portrayal of Danny Collier, a famous pop singer desperate to escape the suffocating pressures of stardom, served as a poignant instance of art imitating life. The 1977 television movie was a massive ratings success that launched the iconic series, and Cassidy's performance captured an exhaustion and yearning for anonymity that deeply mirrored his own reality as the world's biggest teen idol of the decade. Despite the polished and charming image he projected on screen, David Cassidy's real life was fraught with the heavy psychological burden of his Keith Partridge persona. Unlike his character Danny, who could simply visit an island to find relief, Cassidy spent decades fighting to shed the teen idol label that both made and trapped him. His career was marked by a constant struggle against severe typecasting. Subsequent attempts to pivot to serious drama, such as the police procedural David Cassidy Man Undercover, were swiftly canceled, and he faced periods of bankruptcy and financial ruin. The adulation of his early years often stood in stark contrast to his internal battles with depression and alcoholism, making his search for professional respect and personal peace a lifelong challenge. David Cassidy continued to tour and perform for his loyal fan base well into the 2000s, appearing in Las Vegas residencies and reality television shows like The Celebrity Apprentice, though his personal life remained turbulent with 3 failed marriages. In his final years, he bravely yet heartbreakingly documented his failing health, initially attributing his decline to dementia before acknowledging the physical toll of prolonged alcohol abuse. Cassidy passed away in a Fort Lauderdale, Florida hospital on November 21, 2017 at the age of 67 due to liver failure. His death left a complicated legacy marked by the revelation that he had excluded his daughter actress Katie Cassidy from his will and his dying words. So much wasted time, which resonated as a tragic coda to a life lived in the unrelenting spotlight. Robert Reed as Shakespeare/Leo Drake. Born on October 19, 1932 in Highland Park, Illinois, the Shakespearean-trained actor brought a distinct gravitas to the 1977 television movie pilot of Fantasy Island. At the age of 44, Reed took on the dual-layered role of Leo Drake, an actor nicknamed Shakespeare due to his classical background and grand aspirations. His character's fantasy was to perform the greatest works of literature for a sophisticated audience, a role that mirrored Reed's own real-life professional desires. This performance showcased his immense dramatic range and sophisticated screen presence, allowing him to move briefly beyond the wholesome sitcom persona that had come to define his public image. Despite the polished and confident exterior of characters like Leo Drake, Robert Reed's reality was fraught with significant internal and professional conflict. Unlike the classically driven Shakespeare or the perfect father figure he was famous for, Reed was a gay man living a closeted life during an era of intense prejudice in Hollywood. Professionally, he struggled deeply with being typecast as Mike Brady. He famously resented the Brady Bunch, viewing its scripts as beneath his classical training and frequently clashing with the show's creators over their lack of realism. This creative frustration plagued him for years as he fought to secure the serious, high-brow dramatic work he craved, but was often denied due to his sitcom fame. Robert Reed continued to work steadily in the industry, earning critical acclaim for his role in the landmark miniseries Roots and teaching Shakespeare to aspiring actors, which remained his true passion. He stayed a private figure until his health declined rapidly in the early 1990s. Robert Reed passed away on May 12, 1992, at the age of 59 in Pasadena, California. While his death was initially attributed to colon cancer, it was later revealed that he was HIV positive, a fact that contributed to his condition and sparked a significant public conversation about the hidden lives of Hollywood figures. He remains a complex and respected legacy, a classically trained talent who became a cultural icon yet always yearned for the stage. Phyllis Davis as Whitney Clark. Born on July 17, 1940 in Nederland, Texas, the distinctively beautiful actress made a memorable mark in the original 1977 television movie pilot of Fantasy Island. At the age of 36, Davis portrayed Whitney Clark, a woman whose fantasy involved a complex emotional journey that helped establish the tone for the high-stakes guest star arcs the franchise would become famous for. Her magnetic screen presence in the pilot served as a significant stepping stone leading directly to her most iconic collaboration with producer Tori Spelling as Beatrice Travis in the hit series Vega Dollars. Despite her on-screen persona often revolving around showgirl or glamour girl archetypes, Phyllis Davis was a dedicated and disciplined performer who frequently struggled against the industry's tendency to focus solely on her physical appearance. The contrast between her capacity for sharp, nuanced acting and the one-dimensional bombshell roles she was often offered was a source of professional frustration. She faced the harsh reality of typecasting throughout the 1970s and 80s, and as the television landscape shifted toward different character tropes in the late 1980s, she found herself navigating a decline in high-profile opportunities. Phyllis Davis eventually chose to retire from the Hollywood grind, moving to Nevada to live a quiet and private life far removed from the celebrity circuit. She remained a solitary figure in her later years, never marrying or having children. Phyllis Davis passed away on September 27, 2013, at the age of 73, at her home in Henderson, Nevada, following a battle with cancer. She remains a definitive face of 1970s primetime glamour, remembered by a generation of fans for her elegance and her pivotal role in launching one of television's most enduring franchises. Barbi Benton as Bunny Kelly. Born on January 28, 1950 in New York City, the model and actress was already a pop culture phenomenon when she arrived on the set of the 1977 Fantasy Island television movie pilot. At the age of 27, Benton's portrayal of Bunny Kelly tapped directly into her status as one of the decade's ultimate sex symbols. Known for her infectious smile and magnetic screen presence, her appearance in the pilot brought essential glamour to the production, helping to define the series' reputation as a showcase for the era's most desirable stars and solidifying her place as a prime-time fixture during the Jiggle TV era. Despite the carefree and lighthearted nature of the characters, she often played Barbi Benton, was a woman of surprising depth and intellect who contrasted sharply with her pin-up typecasting. Originally a serious student at UCLA, aiming for a career as a veterinarian, she was also a talented country music artist who played the piano and wrote her own songs. Her career was frequently defined by the struggle to be taken seriously as a dramatic actress. She fought against the persistent stigma of being known primarily as Hugh Hefner's longtime girlfriend and a high-profile model. This typecasting made it difficult for her to secure more serious roles, and she faced professional disappointment when her own sitcom, Sugar Time, was canceled after a short run in 1978, limiting her opportunities to showcase her full comedic and creative range. Barbi Benton eventually chose to prioritize her personal life over the relentless grind of Hollywood, stepping back from regular acting roles in the mid-1980s. She married real estate developer George Grado in 1979, a union that has lasted for over 4 decades, and focused on raising their 2 children. As of 2026, at the age of 76, she is living a private and comfortable life, largely retired from the entertainment industry. She divides her time between homes in Los Angeles and Aspen, where she has earned respect for her work in interior design and real estate investment, occasionally appearing in retrospectives to reflect on her unique and enduring legacy in 1970s pop culture. John Saxon as Evan Watkins. Born on August 5, 1936 in Brooklyn, New York, the ruggedly handsome actor took on a pivotal guest role in the original 1977 television movie pilot of Fantasy Island. At the age of 40, Saxon portrayed Evan Watkins, a man whose fantasy involved a high-stakes dramatic pursuit that helped establish the show's unique blend of wish fulfillment and moral consequences. His intense screen presence and athletic physicality provided a grounded, gritty counterpoint to the mystical atmosphere of the island, helping to sell the initial concept to networks and ensuring the pilot's transition into a global pop culture phenomenon. While Evan Watkins was often a man of action, John Saxon was known in real life as a thoughtful, soft-spoken student of craft who had studied under the legendary Stella Adler. His career was frequently defined by a specific struggle. Despite his Italian-American heritage, his versatile features led to him being perpetually typecast in various ethnic roles, ranging from Mexican bandits to Middle Eastern moguls. Regarding Fantasy Island, Saxon faced a common professional challenge for guest stars of the era. Despite his standout performance in the pilot, the subsequent weekly series shifted its focus to a different ensemble dynamic. This required him to continue his journey as a nomadic character actor, constantly fighting to prove his range beyond the tough guy or ethnic lead labels the industry tried to impose on him. John Saxon remained one of Hollywood's most prolific and respected figures, amassing over 200 credits and achieving legendary cult status for his roles in Enter the Dragon, alongside Bruce Lee, and the horror classic A Nightmare on Elm Street. He continued acting well into his later years, maintaining a constant presence on the fan convention circuit where he was beloved for his kindness and sharp memory of his storied career. John Saxon passed away on July 25, 2020, at the age of 83 in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, due to complications from pneumonia. He left behind a legacy as one of the industry's most hard-working and versatile talents, a man who could command the screen whether in a tropical fantasy or a gritty urban drama. Looking at these then and now comparisons, it is clear that the true magic of the island was always the people who brought it to life. Their journeys reflect our own passage of time, filled with growth, change, and enduring spirit. Who was your favorite guest star to ever visit the island? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Your engagement helps us continue celebrating the stars who shaped our favorite memories.